Hi, I'm Tom. This is Lucy, and this is Kitty Help Desk. So today I just want to talk a little bit about the ways that we humans think about our cats' behaviors. We frequently think of them in terms of human behaviors. In fact, most people tend to assume a lot about what motivates a cat's behaviors. And those assumptions are often linked to what might motivate that person to feel that behavior. And in most cases, that is very far from reality in terms of the cat's feelings. We tend to think very species-centrically. We like to consider the way a cat thinks and feels to be very similar to the way we think and feel. And in some ways it is, but in many ways, cats don't really show us how they're feeling, so we can just apply whatever thoughts and feelings we're having onto them and assume that we're right because they can't discuss it with us. My job would be a lot easier if I could get a little couch and just have a cat sit on the couch and tell me about your kittenhood. That would make things a lot simpler. But in most cases, the process of treating a behavior have to do with having enough experience to know what basically could be causing that behavior, and then treating as many of those potential causes as you can. Because in many cases, there's no absolute knowledge that this is the thing that caused it. So when you're thinking in terms of a behavior or discussing a behavior, it's really important that you stick with verbs. The words that you use to describe a behavior shouldn't be feeling words. If you talk in terms of the cat's feelings and motivations, most of the time you're going to be wrong. But if you talk in terms of verbs, action words, things that happened, literally happened, then you're never going to be wrong. And those words are going to help you stick to the facts as opposed to thinking about this from the perspective of a human. For example, if a cat this happens a lot. When a cat begins to house soil, they will frequently do that in areas where a person's scents are, like on their bed or on their place on the couch, things like that. And in some cases, the cat will actually look right at the person while they're urinating outside the box. Most people draw a direct conclusion from that behavior. And they will describe it like the cat is angry at me, my cat is spiteful, my cat is upset with me, my cat is using this to get back at me, mad at me, all these kinds of things. None of those things are true. You know what's true? The cat looked at me and urinated on the spot on the sofa where I normally sit. That's an action that took place. Completely true. The cat jumped up on the couch and urinated on the couch. The cat squatted in the bed where I normally sleep and urinated there. The cat backed up against the corner of the living room and sprayed urine on the wall. All of these are factual things because they're all actions. They're all based on verbs. Spraying, urinating, going, squatting. All of these words are keyed into facts. They're not assumptions. These facts help me when I'm trying to dissect these problems, to stick to what's really going on. And, I spend a lot of time during consults, very frequently, helping people change their thinking. Because people think about their cats in these very human ways. And it's important that you think of them in their own terms because they are not human. And while they do have a lot in common with us, these kinds of approaches can make a big difference, both in the way I can gather information, but also in the way that you think about these problems. Because if you think that a cat urinating outside the box is being done to spite you, yeah, it's unlikely you're going to feel very kindly about your cat at that point. You're going to feel betrayed and angry and upset. None of that's necessary, because that is got nothing to do with why the cat's going outside the box. In fact, the cat's going in those spots that smell like you, or when you're present, because those are the moments when they feel most secure, and they need to feel really secure when they're toileting. When they go outside the box in an area like your spot on the couch, they've come to that spot because it smells like you, and your smell actually makes them feel better. So their response is actually the opposite of what you think. It's because they care about you and they get feelings of confidence from your scent. That's why they're going there. They come there to feel better, and when they don't feel better enough, then they're doubling down by scent marking or urinating there in order to broadcast their sort of claim on that territory. Cats don't use urine marking as a way to hurt someone else. Cats are not in the business of trying to get back at you. It's just not a thing. It doesn't happen, okay? Cats are very egocentric. These are solitary animals in the wild. They are paying attention to their own problems, and they're thinking in terms of how their behavior can solve their own problem, because they don't think anyone's ever going to help them solve their problems. They don't even understand that you're really caring for them. They do understand that they have a relationship with you, and that some of that is based on the fact that you provide things to them. But it's not about them thinking of you as a provider. It's more about them feeling that they come to you in order to obtain things. You are the source of the things, not the provider of the things. And that's a very different sort of thought process. So if you can think about your cats from a more generous perspective, at the end of the day, you're going to be more accurate, and you're going to be able to describe what's going on with them in a more lucid manner, even to yourself, so that you can then follow up and try to figure out what's going on, and you can help them to solve their problem in a way that's productive and doesn't make them fearful of you, or have any other negative emotions connected to you. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.